With ChatGPT and Python, you can make literally anything, even if you aren't a programmer. Unfortunately, a lot of people are still afraid to start any project that involves code. And my goal with this video is to break those limiting beliefs by showing you that programming with ChatGPT is not only easy, but also a great way to learn. In fact, I don't even have any project chosen. I will let ChatGPT pick that for me, and if I get stuck at any point, I will simply ask the AI for help and go from there. So let's start by asking for some ideas. I want to build something useful in Python. Give me 10 ideas. And notice that we're using the new GPT-4o, which is much faster and less lazy than the previous versions. So this is the best time to get into programming and to get into using ChatGPT. Alright, so let's look at some ideas that we have. Expense tracker, personal finance, task automation. Ooh, you know what? Let's do this. Make the ideas more relevant to AI. Okay, spam email classifier, movie recommendation system, sentiment analysis. By the way, while it's generating, I want to tell you that I am indeed hiring. My community is growing super fast, so I'm looking for somebody to be an AI success lead. This is going to be the first link in the description. I'm going to leave this Google form. So if you're interested in joining my team and working with me to build the future, then definitely check it out. Again, it's the first link in the description. So let's see what the next 10 ideas look like. Spam email classifier. Okay, this is useful for sure. Movie recommendations is more of a fun project. Sentiment analysis. This could be useful if you have reviews on your website. You want to know how positive or how negative they are. Handwriting digit recognizer. All right. Chatbot for FAQs. Image classifier. This could be interesting. I'm probably going to go with the image classifier unless there is something. I mean, we can do web scraper, but I feel like that has been done so many times. Let's build a simple image classifier then. Before we get to building, suggest 7 potential simple image classifiers we could create. All right. By the way, notice this new user interface in ChatGPT is like much more clean, much more nice. I really think OpenAI is trying to appeal to everyday people who haven't been into AI or programming, and by giving the best model in the world for free to everybody, I think that's an amazing first step. So let's see. Sure, here are 7 potential simple image classifiers. Cats versus dogs, we could make this. Handwritten digits, okay, this is OG as well. Flowers, rude recognition, this might be a bit harder. Bird species, this will be definitely a lot harder. Vehicle types, okay, this could be, like, this is very useful because, for example, self-driving cars need to recognize what is a motorcycle, what is a car, what is a SUV, what is a truck, what is a 18-wheeler. Very useful to know the vehicle types from an image. Or, to solve a CAPTCHA, like choose all the squares of a bus, sometimes also impossible. I think we can just do the cats versus dogs. Okay, let's just do cats versus dogs. Tell me what I need to get started. I have VS Code open, but no file created yet. Give me everything step by step. All right. It already started giving me some stuff, so that's kind of interesting. I think the previous versions of ChatGPT, the old GPT-4, it would not give me that. It would just list out the 7 ideas as I asked, and then end the message right here. But the new GPT-4o is much less lazy, so it actually gave me the next steps. So we need TensorFlow, Keras, NumPy. These are some libraries. I mean, you don't have to understand what they do. It's just necessary to build this. Okay, so let's see. Maybe this is from the scratch, right? Okay, yeah. Great. Let's build a cat versus dog image classifier step by step. Follow these instructions carefully, and you'll have a working classifier by the end. Sounds amazing. Almost like a, YouTube video retention reminder. Step 1, set up your environment. Install Python. So if you don't have Python, I assume a lot of you do, but if you don't, go to python.org and simply follow the instructions. And by the way, like if you get stuck anywhere, just ask ChatGPT. It's an amazing tool. Like so many people underestimate it. So many people go and feel the need to either ask Google or ask another people. ChatGPT can solve most of your technical problems easily. Just take a screenshot, paste it in here, and describe your issue. If you give it enough context, it will help you solve the issue. At least it will put you a step closer towards solving it. But like 95% of issues can be solved with ChatGPT easily. Okay, so we have Python. Let's go to number step. Install necessary libraries. Open a terminal or command prompt and run the following. Okay, yeah, so I'm gonna do this right here. This is a file. But this is just an interaction file. You don't need to look at that. But we need to install this into our environment. So what I could do is I could go in here into VS Code, click on terminal, new terminal, and paste this, copy code, click on copy code, and paste this right here. However, I want to have a dedicated environment for this. So I'm gonna create it using Conda. And you don't have to have Conda, to be honest. You can just do it in your default Python environment. But I wanna keep it organized, so yeah. Okay, so right now, this is a Conda terminal, and I'm gonna do Conda create /n, and this is gonna be, what's it called? Image classifier, and then Python equals 3.11. And this is gonna create a new Python environment using Conda. Again, it's not necessary. You can just do as I said, open a terminal inside of VS Code. Okay, now I'm gonna activate it. Conda activate image classifier. Boom. And then this piece of code, I'm gonna simply copy it from ChatGPT. Again, if you don't have Conda, no problem. Click on terminal, new terminal, and paste it in here. This is gonna install these 5 libraries or 4. Yeah, 4 libraries. Okay, TensorFlow, Keras, NumPy, and Matplotlib. Each for different purpose, but for this project, we need all of them. And by the way, like, even if you didn't know these libraries existed, ChatGPT told me this. I didn't give it the libraries we needed. ChatGPT told me, okay, this is what you need for this project. I just came up with an idea. And I think this is so empowering. Like, all you really need is an idea and decision to go and build it. If you have those 2 things, you can build anything. It might take you longer if you're not a programmer. Of course, I mean, that is to be expected. But you can do it. 2 years ago, it would be like way harder. You would have to learn all the programming fundamentals. You would have to learn the language, do a bunch of research. Now, with ChatGPT, and especially with the latest GPT-4o update, I mean, you really, like, the sky's the limit, really, like, seriously. Okay, so let's look at this. Do we have it installed? Libraries are installing. Okay. The next step is that create a new Python file. Okay, open VS Code. File, new file, and we're gonna name it cats-dog.py. So I'm just gonna copy this. New file, cats-dog.py. Super simple, just following instructions from ChatGPT. Step 3, import libraries. Open the newly created Python file and start by importing the necessary libraries. So again, I'm just gonna copy this piece of code. ChatGPT has this useful button, copy code, and I'm gonna paste it in here. Now, one thing I have to make sure is that I'm in the same environment as the one where I installed the libraries. But again, if you did it in the base environment inside of VS Code, you're not gonna run into any problems. So we're gonna save this, Control S, and let's look at the next step. Prepare your data. Download a dataset. Download the cats versus dog dataset from Kaggle. All right, here is the dataset. Okay, I've created an account. Let's download the dataset. Its downloading should take 2 minutes. Let's look at the next steps in the meantime. Organize dataset. Extract the dataset and organize it into 2 main directories, data/train and data/validation. Within each main directory, create 2 subdirectories. And I feel like right here, ChatGPT is starting to speed up a bit. I'm just having a sense that it's not explaining as thoroughly. The closer we get to the context limit, the more it, starts to skip explanation. So maybe I can call it out and tell it to, hey, I really want to learn what's happening. Please explain every step. Okay, so cats and dogs within each main directory. Place the corresponding images in them. Data processing. All right, so, okay, I'm at step 4. Please do not rush through this. Explain everything thoroughly and clearly. I am downloading the dataset from Kaggle. List out the following steps in the prepare your data part of your plan. So again, if you feel like some part is, too vague or rushing too quickly, you can just say, hey, let's focus on this part, which in this case is step 4, prepare your data. And until it's done, until it's completely implemented properly, we are not going to continue, because that's the, like, if you rush through it too fast, you'll have no idea what your project looks like, what it does, and yeah, that's just a recipe for disaster. And especially if you actually want to learn something, you feel free to like call it out. And this is why I think AI will be huge. By the way, I think the data set has finished. Beautiful. AI will be huge in education because you can ask it over and over and over again. You know, with a human teacher, you might be tempted to like skip over and say, look, yeah, I understand, because you don't want to look stupid. You don't want to look like you're slow or something, right? With AI, you can just ask it 20 times in a row, each time differently. Explain it as if I'm 10-year-old. Use simple and plain English, and you can just keep asking it over and over until you understand it, understand the concept completely. And this is a super advantage over human. And it will never criticize you. It will never scold you. It will never make you feel embarrassed or inadequate or whatever. And on top of that, it knows a lot more than any single human does. Obviously, in very specific domains and at the very high levels, you definitely want to find human experts because AI is not that good yet. But for this, like, most task, unless you're talking like the top 1%, the AI knows a lot more than any single human. Okay, let's look at our next prompt. So we have the dataset, download dataset, okay, unzip the file. Let's do that. Okay, so here is the file. Okay, so I'm gonna right click, extract into archive. And this is gonna unzip the file. Let's look at the instructions, right? Okay, this will extract the contents into a directory. Inside you will find another zip file named train.zip and test1.zip. Okay, let's see if that's true. Archive. Pet images, cat and dog. No, that seems to be a hallucination. Okay. But I'm just gonna do Control X on this, which is gonna, move it into the code file. That way we can see it inside of VS Code and we can access it easily. So yeah, I mean, look, we can just quickly look inside, images of cats, how many? 12,491, wow. For dogs, 12,470, so there is more cats than dogs, which implies cats are better, which is correct. I'm just kidding. But yeah, this is all different angles, different breeds. You can see like, there is really, it's really for training visual models to recognize the differences. So yeah, okay. Now let's point out to ChatGPT that we did not have these extra zip files inside of the unzipped archive, right? So wait a second. There were no extra zip files inside of the cats and dogs dataset from Kaggle. Only a folder titled pet images with two subfolders titled cat and dog, right? Yes. Cat and dog. Do not skip any steps. I am still okay. What are the next steps? I'm just gonna do this. Keep it simple. We have visual representation of the directory, how we should build it. But again, we don't want to get confused. We don't want to rush ahead. I want to make sure I actually understand this because I'm not an image training expert. I mean, I want to learn this, right? So I want to make sure that every step we look at it properly and we don't rush ahead. So let's see. Got it. Since the dataset downloaded, okay, we can directly use this structure. Here are the next steps. Prepare your data. Okay, verify dataset structure. Check the directories. Yes, this is correct. Each of these subfolders should contain yes. Okay. Perfect. Create a training and validation directories to split the dataset into training and validation. So yeah, this is does it explain it? No. Okay. I'm just gonna copy this and I'm say like I'm at this step because this is actually really fascinating. I'm at this step. Okay, paste it. Please explain why we need to split the data set in simple and easy to understand words. Yeah, because man, this is like the first time you hear about splitting into training and validation. It's like, why would you do that? But it's actually very easy to understand. It's like once you understand, it's like, oh, that's why. Why we need to split the data set. When building an image classifier or any machine learning model, it's essential to split your data set into separate parts for training and validation. Here's why. Number one, training data set. Purpose, used to train the model. Pretty self-explanatory. Function, the model learns from this data, adjusting its parameters to recognize patterns, such as distinguishing between cats and dogs. Now, the validation dataset, on the other hand, is used to evaluate the model's performance during training. This data is not shown, this is the key. The data is not shown to the model during trainings, so it helps us to check how well the model is generalizing to new unseen data. So usually we take like 10% of the total data set and put that as the validation set and train on the 90%, for example. Depends how much data you have, obviously. Okay. So let's go back up. Okay, actually, you know what? I don't even want to bother scrolling. I'm just going to have ChatGPT explain it again. So, all right. How to split the dataset. Now let's proceed with splitting the dataset by organizing your directories. Create main directories. Okay, in your project directory, where the Python script is located, so right here, create a new directory named data, which means just a folder. Oops, not a file, a folder. Data. Create subdirectories for each class. Inside the train directory, okay, so this is how it should look like. Train, cats and dogs, validation, cats and dogs. And it didn't tell us how much we should split it. Okay, we will automate it. Beautiful. Okay, so we have train and then validation. We're gonna copy the names. So inside of data, we want to create a new folder named train and a new folder named validation. Oops. New folder named validation. And inside each of these, we need cats and dogs. So let's do new folder, cats, new folder, dogs. Oops, not like this. Be like this, cats and dogs in the same folder. It shouldn't be kid dogs within cats. So cats, dogs. Beautiful. So we have the same directory structure as ChatGPT suggested. You know, we have our main project. In this case, I just titled the code, and then we have the Python file right here, and data folder with the subfolders. Okay. Great. I have created this directory structure. What? Okay. Based on the plan you outlined earlier, tell me what to do next. But give it in mini steps. Don't rush through it. And explain why we are doing each step. Okay, beautiful. Sometimes you might need to repeat certain prompts many times until ChatGPT actually follows it, which is expected because, you know, here we have a lot of tokens, a lot of data, and a simple sentence can get lost. So don't be afraid to repeat instructions even within custom instructions. By the way, if you want my custom instructions and if you want all the code which we'll be building from this video, then make sure to join the community. You can find it in the classroom. If you scroll down, of course, you'll get access to all the other trainings and workshops we have. But if you click on David's prompts and code, you'll be able to see, you know, multiple different folders, and you click on the code, and here will be this video's code. So if you want access to all of my proprietary software, code, prompts, everything I've built in previous videos, as well as all the stuff I will build in the future, then make sure to join the community. It's the first link in the description. Back to ChatGPT. we have the next steps. Maybe we can tell it to slow down a bit, because it seems like it's rushing through it a bit. Giving us so much stuff, and we don't want to get overwhelmed. That is one thing you have to avoid with any project you're working on, especially if you're a beginner. Avoid being overwhelmed. So you can actually tell this to ChatGPT, please make your responses more concise. Let's focus on 1 to 2 steps at a max. Do not overwhelm me. Maybe I will say that in the next prompt, actually. Okay. Step by step, split the dataset. We will write a small script to split the dataset, automation, amazing, into training and validation sets. This script will automate the process of copying images into the respective directories. Step 1, import necessary libraries. Why? These libraries will have, okay, do we create a new script? Or do we just use this in the same one? Alright, these libraries will help us handle file operation and splitting the dataset. So here it explains what each library does. I'm just going to copy the code as always. Copy code. I'm going to paste it right underneath. Save. Define paths and create directories. Next, we will define the paths to our dataset and create the directories if they don't already exist. Wait, why did I create it manually then? Yeah, we could have automated that part as well. But whatever, it's good to see it, how the directory is structured. Why? This will ensure that our script knows where to find the images and where to place them after splitting. Okay, define the base directory, original dataset directory, pet images. Yes. Okay, I'm gonna copy this. It's nice that ChatGPT is already including the comments, so we can get even more information, even more learning. And, it's good practice to include comments in your code, even when you're writing something simple. Okay, train directory. Okay. Create directories if they don't exist. We can probably delete this, right? Because we do have them. Create subdirectories for each class. So why did I do it manually? I literally told it I've created the directory structure. Anyways. Okay. Inside the train validation. Yeah. Wait, in cat and dog? Work category. Oh, okay. You know what? Let's delete it then. Let's rename it actually. Let's rename it to day.old and see if we can do it with code, right? So I'm gonna copy this again, paste the full thing, and then this part as well. Split the dataset. Use the train test split function to split the images into training and validation sets. Why? This function randomly splits the dataset. It's like this is essentially it's random. Well, it's not essential in this case, but like you want it to be random to minimize, any patterns that could be in the data. Ensuring that the training and validation sets are representative of the overall dataset. Okay, so this is the function that's going to split it. Copy this. Again, you don't have to understand every single line of code. If you want, you can. You can simply say, please explain this part line by line, explain what every single line of code does in plain English. And you can do it for sure. If I did that, this video would be 10 hours long. So we have to make sure we're progressing. Because I want to build this classifier. Like, I want to have something at the end. We started with nothing, and I want to end with something impressive. Like, if you're not a programmer, building an image classifier as your first project, like, that's a flex. Like, you're going to impress everybody with that. So let's see. Full script to split the dataset. Okay, and then it's just copies it. Okay, I guess we don't need this part. We can probably comment it out so it doesn't cause any issues. And this is the full script. It should look the same as ours because we copied the paths. And I'm surprised that ChatGPT gave us the full script because the previous versions of GPT-4 They were so lazy. They would never give this. Like, it already gave us all the steps. It would never just summarize and give you the full script at the end. So this is definitely a step in the right direction by OpenAI. All right, so here we have the script. And what's next? Run the script. Execute the script to organize your dataset. Verify the split. Check that the images are correctly copied to the train and validation directories. Okay, and what ratio? Okay, 20. Okay, 80-20. Pretty good, I guess. So I'm gonna click on the run button and let's run it. And we have an error named no module named sklearn. And again, this is obvious that we did not install this library, but let's say you don't know what happened. So you simply copy the error and go to ChatGPT. So Control C, and I'll say, I'm getting this error when I try to run the script. And again, provide as much context as possible. The error you're encountering indicates that the sklearn library, which is part of the scikit package, is not installed. To resolve, you need to install scikit-learn. Okay, and we simply copy this and install it into our environment. And as you can see, like, ChatGPT can make mistakes, especially as the chat gets longer and longer. It starts to forget what it told you, what it didn't tell you, and where you are in the project. So that's why it's good to recommend it. Like, hey, I'm getting this error, I'm in this stage, this is my full code. This is good. Like, if you're programming something, every now and then it's good to like give it your full code again. If you're using ChatGPT, obviously you can use other coding tools like GitHub Copilot, which I have installed, or Cursor IDE, which is like built in with AI. But if you're just using simple ChatGPT, then feel free to copy your entire code every 10 messages or so. That way you know that ChatGPT has the latest context in its context window. Even though like GPT-4o should be able to handle 128K, still like needle in a haystack, right? It can get lost if there's a lot of other stuff. Okay, so we have the library installed. Now let's try again. Okay, save. And we don't have the same error, which is good. So that is suggesting that we are getting the images to be split. And if we look at this, yep, it is working and it is running. Maybe we can open it up in here. Code, data, docs. Boom, we have 2000. So this is the validation. 2000, okay. And in the train one, 9000 and 9000. Good. And it's finished. It took like 3 seconds or 4 seconds, so it wasn't instant, but now we have it. We have the datasets split, so we didn't even have to create this folder. We created manually, so we can just probably delete this. As you can see, it created exactly the correct structure, train and validation, and each one has randomly selected images appropriately. So as you can see that the numbers in the validation set like skip way faster, right? In cats, we see like number 33 down here. In validation, it's like already in the hundreds. So yeah, it's correctly split 80-20, beautiful. Simple script, but we automated something that doing manually, yeah, that would be a bad idea doing that manually. Okay. Verify installation, rerun the script. Yes, we run the script. Full script for reference. Okay, yes, I did run the script successfully. We now have the data set split into train and validation correctly. What is the next step? Follow the outline you proposed earlier. And the reason I'm doing that is because earlier when I was creating the full outline, it had all the context in terms of the project structure. Now we're, focused on one part. So if I didn't mention to use the previous outline, it could go into a different direction that would not be based on the previous project outline. So yeah, I mean, it's not necessary, but it's good practice. You have to keep in mind how the LLM works and what it's doing and what context it has with each prompt. Okay. Step 5, data preprocessing. All right. We'll use image data generator to pre-process the images. This will handle tasks like rescaling pixel values and performing data augmentation, rotation, zooms. Import the necessary modules. We need to import additional modules for data pre-processing. I mean, honestly, we could have probably created a separate script for this, but whatever. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna ask it, right? I'm gonna give it. Here is how my current code looks like. Should I delete this? Should I create a separate Python file? Or do I keep this? Do not, again, assume I am a beginner programmer. Okay, you can keep the existing code in your current Python file. We will build upon it by adding the remaining steps. Right, so copy code, and these are the ones we commented out. So yeah, we can just uncomment them. Boom. Set up image data generators. So I'm gonna copy this part. Training data gen. And again, you don't have to understand every line of code, but this is not that scary, right? You see the rescale, shear range, zoom range, horizontal flip. Okay. And this is all just, processing the data, as I explained earlier, making sure it's ready to be trained on. Because if there's a lot of chaos, yeah, that's good luck. By the way, this continue generating button, as you can see, it appeared right now. And that is because ChatGPT ran out of output tokens while giving me the entire summary of the complete script. So I'm just going to click on this and it will continue as if it was one message, which is good. And I think the output is 8,000, if I'm not mistaken, 8,000 tokens. So when you hear like 128,000 token window, context window, that is the input. The output of the model is set to lower, probably even 4,000 in ChatGPT. I don't know, because we can actually see, we can actually check it, but by copying this message and seeing how many tokens it is, or words, tokens are not the same length as words. But yeah, so okay, we can see that it's, wow, 1,000 words. That's only like 1,024 tokens, roughly. So yeah, that's OpenAI setting pretty low output. It's not low. For most tasks, it's plenty, but for like this programming, it could be definitely higher, at least 2,048. Okay, whatever. So we have the complete script, but let's look at the parts, right? So we are here building the model. Add the following code to define and combine the convolutional neural network. Again, do not get overwhelmed. You don't have to understand everything. If this is your first project, then that's super impressive. That's already super hard. We are trying to build something that's complicated that most programmers never get to in their entire life. And we have the power of ChatGPT. That's why we can do it. Without ChatGPT, I would be screwed. I'm going to be honest here. So let's see. Building the model, we define the variable. And then this is where we get into the, into the hardcore stuff. Like we have convolutional layers, pooling layers, sigmoid functions, ReLU activation. Now we're getting into deep AI territory. So I'm going to copy it. And again, at the end, we can go and tell ChatGPT to explain step by step. We just need to make sure it works first, right? Train the model. Add the following code to train the model using the training. Actually, maybe this would be good to do it like in Google Colab. I didn't realize that. Yeah, this would be nice to do it in Google Colab. That way you can see the cells being executed step by step. But hey, we can do it in VS Code, no problem. add the following code to train the model. Okay, so, all right, we have steps per epoch, epochs. So now ChatGPT just doesn't even bother explaining what's happening. And probably that's a bad thing, almost certainly. So let's see, where do, okay, all right, here. I'm gonna take it step by step. I'm gonna call it out again that it's rushing things. Because I wanna understand it more than just, copy paste. All right, so this is, we did this before, and now we're here. Please explain this part of the code more thoroughly. You are rushing ahead again without properly teaching me what is going on. And by the way, the reason I'm doing these 4 dashes is something I learned from watching Greg Brockman, actually, the co-founder of OpenAI, and it's a simple like separator. This is like a token, so it separates it, and ChatGPT sees it by token, sees like, okay, now the code begins. Now it's obvious because there is a comment in Python, so you don't have to do it always, but it's a good habit to like separate it when there's a big distinction, because ChatGPT like sees it as like, okay, this is clearly different from the previous part. It doesn't see it visually as we do. It sees it as tokens. Sure, let's go through this part code in detail. Data preprocessing. Data preprocessing is an essential step in preparing the data for training the model. It involves scaling the pixel values, augmenting the data to improve generalization, and setting up data generators. Training data generators with data augmentation. Okay? The image data generator class in Keras provides various transformations and rescaling options for image processing. So we're working with images here. We're not doing text. If we build a large language model, an LLM, we would be processing text data. We have a data set of 12,000 images, so we are working with images. We need to process images, which is different from text, obviously. Okay? And now we have the comments, right? So this is, I like this a lot. We see what every line does. So, okay, let's copy this into VS Code actually. Copy. We did it. Okay, I'm gonna copy these comments as well. It left them out. I don't know why it left them out, but yeah, whatever. So, this line of code. Okay, so this is training data generator with data augmentation. This line of code rescales pixel values to be between 0 and 1. Because like otherwise it's 255. So RGB, if you know RGB, you have red, green, blue, that goes from 0 to 255. We simply rescale it. So 1 point divided by, okay, actually I'm curious about this. Explain this symbol in Python. This is a cool math trick. Represents the current directory. Wait, what? No. Okay. I should have been, again, this is my mistake. I should have been more, here is the context. Here is the line. Yeah, I should have provided more context because it just thought it was a directory, and that's not what I'm asking. So this is used for division. It means that 1 is being divided by 255. This operation is called floating point division, okay? It ensures that the result is a float, yeah. Okay, so does it explain? Oh yeah, okay. Here, floating point division. When you divide 2 numbers using the slash operator, the result is a floating point number, all right? Okay, the dot after 1 makes 1 a floating point number. This ensures that division, okay, so it's just a way to ensure that's a float, but it might not be necessary. It normalizes the values from range of 0 to 155 as it's RGB to 0 and 1. Beautiful. Shear range. Randomly apply shearing transformations. Okay, this is definitely beyond my understanding. Zoom range, randomly zoom into images, okay. Horizontal flip, randomly flip images horizontally. Wow. So this is really like randomizing it as much as possible. Okay, man, it's crazy. Like by building something, you learn much more. Like this is an action step for you, right? If you are watching this, you probably want to learn about AI. You want to learn about programming. Do something. There is so many things. You can follow the same steps. You can suggest ChatGPT to give you ideas, or you might have your own projects you want to build. But please don't be one of those habitual learners that consume 20 AI videos a day, just, continuously learning, but never building anything. The best way to learn is to do exactly what I'm doing here. Building some project, something that's beyond my capability, something that I couldn't do alone without ChatGPT, but actually build it. Don't just watch a video about building it. So at the end of this video, choose one project and take the first step to building it. You don't have to build it in one go, but like sit down for 30 minutes and just start. Use ChatGPT to help you get started and get to building. You will not get anywhere by constantly watching videos. Okay, so where are we here? It explained the first part, beautiful. Explanation, yes. Now we have this part. Does it give it the full code or no? For the validation data, we typically don't apply data augmentation, only rescaling, okay. All right, so that's good to know. So this is for the training data set, and this is for the validation data set. And as you can see, it's very different. Here we're doing rescale, shear, zoom, horizontal flip. Here we're doing only rescale. I did not know this, but it makes sense. Because for validation, you will just use realistic images that are not flipped or zoomed or whatever. Creating data generators. We now create data generators for loading images from the directories using the flow from directory method. Copy this. So data/train, this will just get us to the folder, path to training data. Target size, 64 by 64. We resize the images to this size because if it's bigger, then it's going to take longer to train the model. 64 by 64 is obviously low resolution, but it's going to be much easier to, train the model. Batch size, 32. Number of images to return in each batch, okay. Class mode binary. Binary classification, cats versus dogs. Yeah, I mean, in this case, we don't have other animals or other things we could classify it as, so it makes sense to do it binary. Similarly, we set up the validation data generator, okay? So this one is for the training data. This is for the validation data. And it's the same. Yeah, it's basically the same, only different directory, and everything else is the same. Okay. I'm very glad I asked ChatGPT to explain this part of code, because otherwise I would not learn it. I would just copy paste. And sure, you can, if it's something simple you need to get done quickly, you can definitely copy paste. But for the long term, if you actually want to learn and get an advantage over others, go slower and let ChatGPT explain every part. So let's see, do we have this completed? We have the train data gen, we have validation data gen, and then we have the generators. Yes. Okay, step 6, build a model. Beautiful. Now we're getting into the exciting part. And actually, this one has pretty good comments already. Model sequential. And let's just do it, right? Okay. Explain the following. Great. Now let's move to the next part. Okay, boom. Go to the dashes. Explain this part of code as if you were talking to a Python beginner. And I'm super glad with GPT-4 released a few days ago, because it's much faster at generating. It's like over 2 times as fast. They say it's 2 times as fast, but I feel like it's faster. And some people on Twitter say from their experience, they think it's up to 5 times as fast. I wouldn't say 5 times, but I would say 2.5, maybe 3 times as fast. Because previous GPT-4 was quite slow. Okay, it's explaining the current code. Let's break down each part. To build the CNN, Convolutional Neural Network, shout out Jan LeCun. building the model. First, we create a model. In Keras, we typically use sequential class to build a model where layers are added one by one. Model equals sequential. Okay, let's take it line by line. Explanation. Sequential initializes a new sequential model. This means we will add layers to this model in a sequence, one after the other. Guys, you're gonna learn so much about training models in this video. I didn't plan on that, but hey, it's a nice bonus. Adding layers to the model. Convolution layer. Model.add, okay, conv2d, 32. Okay, I'm gonna copy it and then look at the explanation. This adds a 2D convolutional layer. 32 is the number of filters, also known as kernels, in the convolutional layer. Each filter will learn to detect different features in the input image. 3 is the size of each filter. Oh, 3 by 3 pixels, damn. That's quite low. Okay. Different features in... Wow, so yeah, it really splits it up into 3 by 3 pixel chunks. 64 is not divisible by 3 by 3. Okay. So it basically notices, the way it learns is it spots patterns of the images. Like by 3 by 3 pixel patterns, so 9 pixels that are different. So it doesn't look at the whole image, it looks at 3 by 3 pixel filters. Input shape, okay. Activation ReLU. Activation function for this layer, ReLU, rectified linear unit, helps the model learn complex patterns by adding non-linearity. So ChatGPT, I don't know what it didn't understand about the fact as explain this part of code as if you were talking to a Python beginner, but hey, whatever. But the ReLU function, this is probably the most common activation function in all of AI, I think. And by the way, let me just remind you, I am nowhere near being an expert on building image classifiers. In fact, this is the very first image classifier I'm building. So this, if this tells you something, is that no matter how complex or intimidated you might be by the project you have in mind, with ChatGPT and with the help of AI, you can do it. Like, if I can build an image classifier without knowing anything about convolutional neural networks or image classifiers, you can build whatever project you have in mind. You just have to break through the starting friction and actually start building. Get started. Pooling layer. Specifies the size of the pooling window. Yeah, I mean, look, ChatGPT is really given up on explaining it simply. I mean, maybe I can call it out in the next prompt, but let's just take this part, scroll back up and take the next part and really tell it, please, explain it simply and clearly. So this is what, building the model, right? Yeah. So here we're building the model. Next up, we are training the model. I mean, okay, I don't know. Okay, you know what? Let's actually, one thing you can do in ChatGPT is very useful. You can adjust your prompt. So here, I'm going to click on edit message and I'm going to say, add one more sentence. Oops, what happened? What happened? I don't know. Okay, right here, yeah. Okay, so this is a bug. As you can see, I'll start typing and it switches. So I have to type blind, I guess. Hey, it's a new UI. They added it like 2 days ago, so we're gonna give them benefits of the doubt. But I'm gonna say, really make sure you explain every advanced concept in simple and easy to understand terms. This is, you know, I'm glad I can type with 10 fingers because otherwise I would not be able to type blind. Okay. Assume the user knows nothing about image classifiers and DNNs. Send. So now when you update it, it's going to regenerate a new message. And hopefully this time it breaks it down into more simple terms. Okay. We have the required classes imported, hopefully. Yes. Okay, I don't know why it... Anyways. Okay, model. We went over that. Adding model layers. Okay, so now we're adding layers to our sequential model. Convolution layer. Does it explain or no? Is it crazy? I think ChatGPT might be crazy. How is this explanation any... and okay, I'm gonna say this is better, but it's still way too advanced for someone who's a beginner to Python and programming and knows nothing about CNNs or building neural networks from scratch. You are... Please stop wasting my time and start explaining these complicated concepts in plain English. Okay, let's see. Building the model. We are creating a machine that can look at pictures and tell... Okay, now it's going like way too... It's crazy, right? It's like cannot do anything in moderation. It's like either it treats you as a complete dumbass, or it like it goes like, oh yeah, you're surely a machine learning PhD, like you understand everything, right? This machine is a convolutional neural network, which is especially good at understanding images. Okay. Starting with an empty model. Think of it as building like, oh my god, why this cringe? Like, I love Lego, but like, come on, man. Like, what is this? We start with an empty base. Okay. Sequential. This means we are building the model step by step, one layer at a time, adding layers. This layer, okay. Good. We are getting explanation of what a convolution layer is. This layer helps the model focus on small parts of the image, like edges or textures. So yeah, 3x3 areas, 3x3 pixel areas of the image. Conv2D stands for convolutional 2D. It's like a special camera that looks at small sections of the image. Finally, we're getting some useful explanations. Okay, we're learning. Or ChatGPT is learning how to make us learn. 32, the number of cameras, filters looking at different parts of the image. Oh, that's fascinating. Okay, so you have like an image, right? And then it's like 32 different points, 3x3 points. Wow. Input shape, the size of input image. Okay, yeah, 64x64. We did that in the pre-processing part, if you remember. And 3 color channels, red, green, and blue. Yes. Activation ReLU. This is like saying ignore negative values, which helps the model understand the image better. Okay. Pretty solid explanation of the ReLU function. First, pooling layer. This layer reduces the size of the image, making it easier to handle. Max pooling 2D. Think of it as shrinking the image by keeping the most important parts. Okay? So this is right here. Max pooling 2D. Pool size 2:2. Size of the area to shrink 2x2 pixels. Wow. So does it shrink the entire... But no, surely not. Okay, so it reduces it by 4 then. Okay. It doesn't explain everything, but this is way better than before. Second convolution and pool layers. We add another set of these layers to help the model learn from more detailed textures. These are the same as the first set, but they look at the features found by the first layers. So I guess we have to reduce it here because we shrunk it by 2. I'm not too sure about that. Flattening layer. This layer converts the small images into a long list of numbers. Yeah, because the computer cannot understand images, it understands numbers. Fully connected layer. This layer is like a decision maker that uses the long list of numbers to make a prediction. Okay, model added dense units 128, activation ReLU. Dense. Each number in the list is connected to many decision points. So it means it's a dense layer. Units 128. There are 128 decision points. Okay. Okay, yeah, so if you know the structure of a neural network, which I can pull up. Alright, yeah, this is a good image. So we are operating right here in the hidden layers. And, you know, here is like 5 points, but Here it's 128. So yeah, a lot higher. Activation value, again saying ignore negative values basically. Output layer. So now we're moving on to the output layer. This layer, by the way, it would be good if ChatGPT provided these explanatory images together. I feel like we're like a few months away from it doing that. You know, why not just generate an explanatory image while teaching somebody a concept? It would be much better than just the like straight text, right? Imagine having like a paragraph or 2 paragraphs of text and then a super good image that explains it. I mean, even like people always say like, oh, I'm a visual learner, blah, blah, blah. Even if you aren't a visual learner, like I think everybody can benefit from that, having a nice visual image every now and then. It's like the same reason why videos where there is more stuff happening are more interesting than, you know, if I didn't have my webcam in this video, it would get way less views because there would be less happening on the screen, less things to look at. Same with if you're learning, if we had like images like this accompanied in the text, and that would be even better. But hey, GPT-5 is coming soon, so we'll see. This layer gives us the final result. Is it a cat or a dog? Okay. So here, this is the output layer. We're using the sigmoid function. Units 1, only one final decision point because it's either a cat or a dog. So we only have 1 point in the output layer, not 4. Activation sigmoid. This makes the output a number between 0 and 1, like a percentage or chance. Yeah, so it, you know, like 0, well, I don't know which in this case is a dog or a cat, but let's say 0 is a cat, 1 is a dog. It's never going to be 100% certain. It's going to be closer to 0 or closer to 1. So if it's like 0.01, then it's, you know, thinking it's a cat. If it's 0.999, then it's likely a dog. Compiling the model. Finally, we prepare the model to start learning by telling it how to measure its mistakes and how to correct them. So yeah, this is the loss function. Optimizer equals Adam. This is a method for adjusting the model to learn better. Loss, binary cross entropy. This measures how well the model is doing. Lower is better. Metrics equals accuracy. This keeps tracks on how often the model is correct. Putting it all together. Okay, good. Pretty solid explanation. Only I have to call it out multiple times to, you know, explain it in simple terms. But hey, we are dealing with a lot of context here, so maybe we can give ChatGPT the benefit of the doubt. Okay, so I'm gonna, you know what? I'm gonna go do this. Here is my full code as it looks right now. Tell me what to implement next. And keep including these basic explanations with every step. And you know, the reason I just give it a code because I don't really want to scroll up all the way back. So I just give it my current code and you can see, okay, this is the project in its entirety, which also helps it refresh its memory where I'm at and what needs to be done next. Great, your current code is almost complete. Beautiful, so we're getting there. Soon we will see a complete image classifier built from scratch. Well, I guess it's not completely from scratch because we used some libraries, but like imagine doing this without AI, man, like this could be a project. Like 5 years ago, this could be a whole project in college. You know, you might need a machine learning degree to build something like this. Now you can just do anything, like permissionless. And like, there will be people who say, okay, David, but if you had to do it again without AI, you couldn't do it. And that's true. But that's like saying you cannot do your, you know, multiplication of 8 digits numbers or division of like a 17-digit number with a 5-digit number in your head. Nobody can do that. Like, there is a calculator. It's an invention. It's a technology. AI is the same way. It's an invention. It's a tool. It's going to exist in the future. So there is no point being like, oh my God, you cannot build it without the help of AI. Does it matter? Like, that argument is so foolish because AI will exist the next year. In fact, it'll be even better. So it doesn't matter that I don't understand every single line of code. What matters is I had an idea and I wanted to execute it and I did. Well, we're almost there. So I'm not gonna say I did yet, but like that's what matters. Having an idea and taking action. It doesn't matter if you understand the programming language completely or if you know, are not a machine learning expert. Like, those things obviously will help, no doubt about it, but you can do it without them, and that's the point. Okay, continue generating. I clicked it. So let's see. It looks like the model building part is duplicate. What? Oh yeah. Wow. Thank you, ChatGPT, for calling me out. Yeah, I duplicated that part. Okay, the other parts are not duplicated. So we need to clean that up first. After that, we will move. Yes, okay. Yes, I removed it. Next steps, train the model. We will feed our training data to the model and let it distinguish between cats and dogs. And I'm gonna do it locally, I assume. I mean, you should probably do it on, this shouldn't be like that computationally heavy. We'll see. I don't wanna jinx it yet. Evaluate the model. We will check how well the model performs on the validation data. That's why we saved it. You know, it's separate. Make predictions. We will use the trained model to make predictions on new images. Okay, let's go step by step, of course. Train the model. This is really the interesting part. Train the model means showing it the training data multiple times and adjusting its parameters to improve accuracy. So add this code to train the model. Okay, we have some useful comments. Training the model. Model.fit, train generator. Steps per epoch, 8,000. This is non-modular, right? What's divided? Okay, let me just ask. What's the symbol divided in Python? Is that just a normal division? Am I trolling here? Floor division. No. Floor division divides two numbers and rounds down to the nearest whole number, discarding any fractional part. Okay, yeah. So it's like combination of division and modulo, basically. Okay, yeah. Nearest whole number. Floor division, yeah. So we need a whole number. Okay. 25 epochs. And for validation, we're doing 2000. So yeah, again, the same ratio is kept here. All right. Cool. Next. We have this part, the next part, explanation. Model.fit. This function trains the model using the data from the generators. Train generator, which is our training data. Steps. Okay, this means that in one epoch, the model will see 8,000 images divided into batches of 32 images each. Oh, so yeah, that's why we do floor division, because otherwise it would not fit perfectly. 8,000 divided by 32. Okay. The model will go through the entire training set 25 times. Okay, yeah. So if you never heard the word epochs, or if you don't know what it means, well, now you know what it means. The model will go through the entire training set 25 times. So 25 epochs. And the more, the better usually, right? At a certain point, you can run into issues, or like at a certain point it can be counterproductive, but to keep it simple, the more the better, but it takes longer time and more compute, obviously. Okay, validation data equals validation generator. All right, so yeah. Step 8, evaluate the model. After training, we want to know how well the model performs on unseen data. Add this code to evaluate the model. And this really would be good to do in Google Colab, not gonna lie. Maybe I can still put it into a Colab. Yeah, I can. Explanation, model.evaluate. This function checks how well the model performs on the validation data. Oh yeah, okay, so we define two variables, loss accuracy, model.evaluate. Okay, so these are the outputs of this function. And it outputs these two variables, and we save them as the loss and accuracy of the model. Validation generator, the data used for validation, of course. We prepared that before, and then we print out the accuracy as a percentage. Step 9, make predictions. Finally, Let's use our trained model to make predictions on new images. Add this code to make predictions. Okay, so we have quite a bit of a chunker here. Is it explaining or no? Oh yeah, it is. So test image equals, and then it loads an image. All right, yeah, okay, no. I understand. It wanted me to use a different image that's not in the dataset at all. I can actually use an image of my cat. Let's see. That would be interesting. Okay, so I downloaded an image of my cat. I created a new folder inside of the data folder right here. We have train, validation, and single prediction. And inside of it, I put an image of my own cat, which is not available anywhere on the internet. We can also probably search up some random dog image as well. So this is the dog image I'm using. So we'll test the model on these two images. Okay, go back to ChatGPT in that case. And where are we? Where were we? Okay, can we just delete this? Necessary, whatever. It's explaining. Alright, so yeah, it was explaining this part. This function loads the image from specified path, resizes it to 64 by 64. Yes. This converts the image to an array of pixel values. Okay, load and pre-process the image. Yes, array of pixel values. This adds an extra dimension to the array because the model expects batches of images, even if it's just one image. Okay. Model.predict test image. This makes a prediction on the pre-processed image. Right here. Train.generator.class indices. This gives us the mapping of class labels to indices. Okay, so yeah, cats are 0, dogs are 1. If result 0, 0, 1, this checks the prediction result and prints whether the image is a cat or a dog. Okay. Print prediction. Complete code. Here's how your complete script should look like. Oh, it gave the complete script. Run this complete script in a Python environment. This will train the model, evaluate it, and make a prediction on a new image. Let me know if you have any questions. Okay. We can actually test whether how much resources it takes in the task manager. So let's give it a shot. Hopefully no errors. Fingers crossed. Let's run it. Is this an error or not? Oh, we have the GPU running. The model is training. Okay. This is big. This is big. We are training an image classifier model. And this is... Oh. Yeah, this might take a while. How many steps are there? Does it say? Yeah, 25 epochs. So yeah, okay. This could take like a few minutes, so I'll probably cut this out. Or I'll time-lapse this so you can see how it's using the GPU. Okay, it is not finished just yet, but I want to point out that the loss is slowly going down, which, you know, if you paid attention before, the less the better, means the model is more accurate, better trained. So we start at 0.7, okay? 0.7022, so 0.7 basically, and now we're at like 0.38, okay, 0.36 actually. And then it predicted dog. Really. So after all this time training and building model, turns out our model is quite shit. Because, you know, I trained it in like 3 minutes on my local computer, didn't really do it on a proper supercomputer with hundreds of epochs or like much more complex neural networks. So what's the takeaway? Well, we've built an image classifier model from scratch in like what? Hour and a half? It's pretty crazy. given the fact, especially, I'm not a machine learning expert. I mean, I just used the knowledge of ChatGPT to build this. And we did have, I think, 1 error or maybe 2 errors. But apart from that, like, pretty damn impressive. So yeah, I mean, look, if you want the code, again, it will be linked below the module inside of my community. And honestly, this is not the main reason I want you to join the community. The main reason is that we have so many trainings and workshops that help you prepare for the future, teach you how to build AI agents, make you advanced ChatGPT user, and as well as you can access free weekly calls where you can talk to me directly. So if that sounds interesting to you, make sure to join. It's the second link in the description. The first one is going to be the hiring form. So yeah, second link in the description if you want to join the community.